Hello my crafty friends. This is an intuitive art journaling page that I did using some pretty purples and turquoise colors. I didn't really have a plan for this. I just sort of went with the flow and just let the paints and technique take me. This is how I made it. I'm starting by choosing some papers that I like the colors of that are coordinated. I'm going to add some of these to the art journal pages with some Mod Podge. The art journal that I'm working in is just a second-hand book that I bought from a charity shop. I glue about 3 or 4 pages together, and I do tear some pages in between. I tear them out just so the book doesn't become too fat, as it does become bulky with all the mixed media that is used through the book. So I'm sticking these papers down, not anywhere specific, but I do try and balance the left and the right side together. You will see I also add some Mod Podge over the paper once I've glued it down. This is a way of waterproofing it slightly. Otherwise, when I add the paints later, it will become quite soggy. This will help the paints and other mediums stay on the top and not be absorbed. I'm also going to add these number squares that are actually from an old calendar. I use these quite a bit in my work, in all the different things that I do. I just love them for some reason, and I wanted something a little bold that will possibly shine through after all the paint is added. So I'm adding just one on the left and on the right. You don't have to wait for the Mod Podge to dry. You can start adding the gesso while it's still wet. This will help it to blend easier. If it does happen to dry before you add the gesso, it'll work fine too. I'm concentrating the gesso on the joins of the different pieces of paper that I've added. This is to help it soften the whole look, and also to make the pages sort of the little pieces of paper blend. Otherwise, it's just these bright pieces stuck on top of each other, and you can see the borders. The gesso helps to soften it and make everything more cohesive and misty and blendy. If I feel I've added too much gesso, I'm just using a wet baby wipe just to wipe some of the gesso off if I feel that it is too much. Once it's dry, I'm adding a little bit more gesso in certain areas. I do like that white contrast that it creates, and I tend to use this technique quite often. I'm now going to add some stenciling with some white texture paste and these stencils. The stencils that I'm using in this video are from Kmart here in Australia. I apply the texture paste using a large palette knife. We're not looking to add this texture all over the whole art journaling page. I'm just doing it in certain little sections just to add a little bit of interest. I'm using a second design to make it a bit more interesting. I love the way the background color shines through where there is no texture paste on the stencil part. I think it creates some beautiful patterns. At this point, you could leave the page just like this, but of course, I'm going to add some more. I'm going to be adding some acrylic color. I was going to add the bright pink, but then I thought I wanted more of a muted tones. So I have this color called, I think it's called burgundy, that I thought suited it quite well. So I'm using that instead. And what I do is I just dab a little bit of watered down acrylic into certain areas of the stenciled area. And then I spray with a water bottle. Just spraying some, and I just let all the colors flow, and you can see they flow in the grooves of where the stenciling happens, and it creates some beautiful patterns and different tones and so much interest on the page. You can help the paint along by adding water also with your paintbrush if you don't have a spray bottle. I'm adding a little bit more as I want it a little bit darker. I contemplated for a while whether I wanted to add the turquoise color, and then I decided that I will, and I mixed a dark turquoise and a lighter turquoise, and I added just a little bit. I didn't want to overdo it with the turquoise because I really liked the purple that was sort of the focal color in the spread, but I have added a little bit of the turquoise just to pick up from the background paper that we added earlier, the one with the little flowers. Some of the water runs down into the center, so I just use a tissue to dab up any big puddles, as you don't want the spine to get too soggy. Now that it's all dry, I'm going to decorate it. I'm using some Project Life cards that have some sayings on. I do like to use these. They're a good size and they have some beautiful colors and some beautiful wordings. So I'm using the one that says, "Don't blend in when you were born to stand out." I've chosen the card. It's a really dark blue, and although there's no dark blue in my actual layout, I thought it matches really well and then it will stand out. I'm also now picking some little embellishments that I have just from my craft stash. I'm just going to see what suits. I found this little saying too, and I was going to use it, but the color was too light, so I'll save it for another project. I'm now just going to play around with the composition of the elements and just see what looks good. Sometimes this can take me 2 minutes and it works straight away. Other times I can be stuck for an hour moving the elements back and forth, up and down, changing things until I get something that I like. This you'll do until it's pleasing to you. This is your project, so do whatever you like. I eventually put the wording on the left, and then I found that I wanted to balance the dark blue, so I had some similar dark blue cardstock, which I punched out some 1-inch circles, and I used them on the right hand side with some butterflies and flowers. This frame that I'm using now, I decided not to put in. I didn't like the white, and I found it better balanced, putting 3 circles with a little embellishment and then the wording on the left. Simple but effective, I think. I didn't want to overdo it with too much embellishing because I didn't want to lose the background. I really loved the background, the way it turned out, and I wanted to show that off. So I've just kept the decorating really, really simple and really, really plain. I'm attaching all the paper elements with double-sided tape, and then I'm going to attach the butterflies and flower, which are more like a chipboard, with some hot glue just to secure those well. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoyed it, please do give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below and I will do my very best to answer them. Don't forget to subscribe and then click the little bell so that you are notified every time I upload new content. Thanks again for watching. Happy crafting, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.